He punches, he kicks, he falls, jumps, and dives, and is certified as a sword master. I'm talking about the stuntman in Hollywood movies. You'll meet one today. All the action is next on the Season 4 premiere of Below the Line.
It's Below the Line with George Peroulas. On tonight's show,
my guest today literally fights his way through the movies, including The Dark Knight, Sherlock Holmes 1 and 2, Troy, and many more. Please welcome Hollywood stuntman Richard Ryan. Welcome, how are you?
Very well, thank you, George.
Thank you for coming.
My pleasure.
Now, how did you get started in stunt work?
By default, by accident almost. I went to college training to be an actor, and it just so happened that the person who taught us film fighting and stage combat was a guy called William Hobbs, who was doing had done all the big movies in the late 60s, early 70s involving swords. So the Dick Lester Three Musketeers and Four Musketeers, Pirates with Polanski, Rob Roy. He just happened to teach at the drama school I went to. And I engaged particularly with that subject, had an aptitude for it, and then started to work more and more in that field. Initially as an actor, doing lots of sword fights, fighting and dying before the end of the play. And then that grew, started to do parts where I go in and again be fight fodder, be a stuntman, and grew in that.
So what was your big break into film stunt work?
I had done a few little bits and pieces on British film and television, but the main one was Troy in 2003. Simon Crane, who was the stunt coordinator for that, was looking for somebody to choreograph the fights and to train the actors, and he didn't have anybody. The person he had previously used for that had then branched out on his own and was coordinating his own movies. So Simon did a search looking at all the fight coordinators in the UK, and for some reason he happened to like my stuff best and thought I'd be a better fit, so Troy was my big break.
And how long was that production?
We started in March of 2003, and I think I flew back home on December 22nd of 2003, so 9 months.
So most of your training was on-the-job training, correct?
Yes, yes. By and large it is. As a stunt performer, you'll get a break and get in, and if you've got a certain aptitude for it and you work hard, you'll be hired back, and it's kind of like an apprenticeship. So you will get smaller stunts to start off with, and if you don't make a mess of them, and if you're a reliable person to have around and you're good, then what you do will grow and grow. You'll be given more responsibility in terms of the stunts you do, so it is by and large an on-the-job training.
Now, is there a difference in coordinating a stage fight for a play versus fighting for a movie?
Yes. I mean, in terms of creating the fight, the creative input that goes into it, no, that would still be the same. You'd be looking at character and situation and what's going on within the narrative. But the actual performance of it, yes. You will, on a stage fight, ultimately temper the fight to whatever those two actors can do, because you will be opening in 3.5 or 4 weeks. On film, you will keep to the ideal, and you will then put in stunt doubles to perform the fights if the actors are not able to, and they'll have to film around it. So by and large, on film, you would keep to the ideal. Also, the pace of the work. On film, you really have to be going 100%, pretty much flat out. Whereas on stage, you can take a little bit off the pace. Otherwise, it's difficult for the audience's eye to follow the action and to see all the bits you've choreographed into the narrative.
And what is a stunt, basically, from the beginning?
A stunt is any physical action that has risk. So it could be falling down the stairs, it could be a pratfall, it could be diving out of the way of a car, it could be any little bit like that, or it could be leaping out of a burning building, out of an aircraft, doing a parachute jump or something. So any physical action that involves some risk that you might wish to double the actor so they don't get hurt.
Now, I've seen different terms in movie credits and doing research about your line of work. Is there a difference in a stunt coordinator and a stunt choreographer?
Yes, I mean the stunt coordinator is basically the head of department. So they will be overseeing all of the stunts, overseeing everything else that's going on. A stunt choreographer might just be the person that's putting together the fights. So very often, depending if it's a historical movie, I get the title Swordmaster, which is a sort of very vainglorious title. If it's a more contemporary piece, I might get Fight Coordinator. It's the same job. I'm overseeing the fights, training the actors, but I would be answerable to the stunt coordinator who would see how that piece of action fits into the whole.
And some of the other terms in your business are stunt performer, stunt double, and stunt rigger. What do they do?
Yes. A stunt performer will be somebody you'll bring in to perform the stunts. They may be what's referred to often as ND stunts, which I believe is nondescript, that you don't know who they are. They're the people diving out of the way of the car, screaming through traffic.
Oh, so they followed me around going to the mall, right?
That's the one. That's them. A stunt double would be somebody who's specifically doubling a named character, so that if it's you, then I would, and if I'm coordinating, I'd have to get somebody that's a similar build and look to you, so that we can double you. Whereas the stunt performer could be anybody, just people in the mall kind of thing. A stunt rigger will be somebody who is usually a performer, but it's a rigger with knowledge of stunts, so they can help rig the stunts. So if you've got wire work, which is where you're going to need them, they're either doing safety, where you're putting somebody on a tag line to stop them if they're getting too close to the edge of a high building, or if they're falling off and you're doing it on a descender or some kind of descending rig, you would use a stunt rigger to help set that up, to rig the stunt, so that, and it's somebody who by and large has a stunt background, who understands what the stunt performer's needs are.
And you mentioned stunt double.
Yes.
Who have you been a stunt double for in movies that we may know of?
I have doubled, most recently I doubled Robert Downey Jr. in the first Sherlock Holmes movie. I was one of his doubles, because we had him doing a lot of the action, because he's got a very good physical ability. He's been training in martial arts for the past 7 years. We had a stunt double for him, and also I was performing as his fight double. So in the final fight on the bridge, a large part of that is me. But to be fair to him, he did the majority of his fights himself. Robert De Niro in a movie called Stardust, which was about 4 or 5 years ago. I doubled him, which was fun.
Well, very good. I'm sure you've met a lot of interesting people that you've done work with around the world. Now, you also mentioned briefly the title of Swordmaster. What is that?
Swordmaster is basically the fight coordinator on a sword-based movie, a historical movie, where you have weapons. So it would be you were the sword fight choreographer, which is even more of a mouthful than Swordmaster. And that's principally the job. So on Troy I was Swordmaster. My job was to choreograph the fights for the principal characters, oversee that, train the actors up, and then be on set for when they were shooting it to make sure that they're sticking to script.
And how much time do you spend training the actors to do this work?
That's a kind of how long is a piece of string. As much as I can get them. Very often you're going to have pressure, because the person you're going to want most of all is going to be the lead. The lead is going to have the greatest demand on their time, but wherever possible I'm trying to get to see them in pre-production and then all the way through production, and if possible I get their big fight scheduled towards the end of shooting, so there's time to train them during the course of it, and as long as I can get, as much time as I can get, which sometimes is not very much.
And you brought a sword and some other items. What do you have here?
I did, yes. I brought, well, let me show you. I brought Watson's sword stick from Sherlock Holmes.
The actual sword stick from the movie?
One of the actual.
One of the, wow.
This one was, as you can see, because of all the scarring on it, was used for later in the fight when he'd been fighting. They'd distressed this so it looked like he'd been involved in the action. We had one where the the hilt was set in so it wouldn't come out, and one that was in a more pristine condition. But this one, because it was dinged up, I was allowed to have. So this was the one I used at the end of Sherlock Holmes 1.
Okay.
So I have that. Also from Sherlock Holmes 1, I have this weapon that we had for Irene Adler, which she uses when she's being mugged, or when there's an attempted mugging on her. But I'm not sure that that bit of this, where we had a training with it, whipping these around, made the cut. So there's that. And
now, is that made out of plastic?
this is made out of molded rubber, yes.
Rubber, okay.
Yeah, we had, these were the training ones for her. They have, obviously, on the hero ones, they've got steel, but we had these which were rubber. And also, I have a copy of the sword I used in Solomon Kane.
Wow.
Which is the final sword he ended up with. The armourer who made these up, I had a quiet word with and was like, could you make an extra one? So I have this, the final rapier he ended up with for his final fight, which, if you've seen the movie, is against a burning man.
Yes. How was that film?
I enjoyed that enormously. I mean, that was harking back to a sort of 1980s genre, sort of sword and sorcery, and it was enormous fun. I really enjoyed that with director Michael J. Bassett, who was a great enthusiast for the fight, so it was good fun to work on.
Well, thank you for bringing those.
My pleasure.
Now, you work as an independent contractor, of course.
Yes.
Do you have an agent or a manager like actors do? Do stunt people have that?
They do, some do, I should say. I do, and so I have the same agent from when I was an actor, who looks after me and negotiates my contract. By and large, when you're starting out, you don't particularly need one, but as you start to move on towards coordinating, you do really need an agent for that.
Now, do producers track you down to work on their movie based on your great reputation?
Yes, you get how you get contacted varies enormously. Sometimes it's the producer getting in touch because they've seen something I've done, or a director gets in touch because they've liked something I've done, or they've spoken to somebody who said, oh yeah, you want to work with Richard, he was really good for me. It's usually word of mouth, and I suppose you only get to hear about the ones that are good. The ones that you didn't get a good press for, they don't phone you. But usually that's the way.
When there's a movie upcoming and you want to work on it really bad, how aggressive are you to work on that film?
I'm persistent in my pursuit of it. So there are a couple coming up in the next year that I would particularly like to be on. So it's making sure that you can contact as many of the producers as you can and the director, so that they know that you're interested, and get your agent pushing for that as well, because there's going to be other people who also want to do it. I mean, there's not that many people. My entry to the work was through doing sword fights. There's not that many people who do sword movies, but there are more than there is work, so they're going to be doing the same.
And what is the most dangerous stunt you've done so far?
The trickiest one, I think, the one that caused me the most concern, was actually on Solomon Kane, where we had a character who was on fire whilst he's fighting, and I did the test for that. It wasn't me in the film because I was too short to double to fight James Purefoy, who was, like, I think 6 foot. But I did the test for it, and it's fighting the chap on fire. That was particularly difficult because the pressure is on you to get it right because he's on fire. So I felt a greater pressure on that one to get it right on somebody else's behalf rather than on my own. So that was probably the trickiest one I've done recently. Other than that, particularly if it's a sword fight, I'm quite comfortable doing what I need to do there.
Is there a stunt that you won't do?
Not so much. There are stunts I wouldn't put myself in to do because there are younger people better able to bounce off the ground than I am. There's things I would always be careful of. Fire is definitely one you've got to be wary of. Most everything else within stunts is you try and eliminate the risk. so that you're making the action as safe as possible. So you try and figure out what could go awry, and then you adjust your technique for that, or you make sure you pad that area or put an airbag or mats or boxes down. So, but fire is definitely something to always be wary of.
And have you ever broken bones, and how many?
Oh, I've broken my toes quite a lot doing stuff there, but touch wood, I haven't broken anything since collarbone since I was a teenager.
Very good. Coming up next, we'll put Richard through the below-the-line speed round and find out what sort of crazy stunts he does. Stay with us.
Hands can do incredible things. Now they can even help save a life with hands-only CPR. If you see an adult suddenly collapse, just call 911, then push hard and fast in the center of the chest until help arrives. Learn more at handsonlycpr.org.
Take my hand and start a brand new day. And together as one we'll start to see some change.
Underneath everything we are, underneath everything we do, we are all people. Connected, interdependent, united. And when we reach out a hand to one, we can influence the condition of all. That's what it means to live united.
We're back with Hollywood stuntman Richard Ryan, and now we're gearing up, Richard, for a little bit of below-the-line speed round to find out the stunts you've done. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay, here we go. Have you ever been kicked?
Yes.
Set on fire?
Yes.
Been blown up?
Yes.
Jumped out of a moving car?
No.
A train?
No.
Plane?
No.
Motorcycle?
No.
Jumped off a bridge?
No.
Horse trick riding?
No.
Hit in the face?
Often.
Hit with a stick?
Yes.
A brick?
No.
Punched in the stomach?
Yes.
Kicked in the privates?
Yes.
Hair pulled?
Yes.
Dressed in drag to double for a woman?
Yes.
Have you been bitten?
No.
Cut?
Nope.
Stabbed?
Yep.
Driven over?
No.
Crashed a boat?
Nope.
Electrocuted?
Not yet.
Very good. Thanks for playing. Now seriously, speaking of falls, what is the highest fall you've done?
Highest fall I've done has been about 30 foot, which is, well, it seems quite high when you're standing up there, but it's not very high in terms of what some other stunt performers have done.
Now, since you're based here in America, do you get paid in American dollars when you travel overseas, or how does that work?
It varies. Normally I would be. So my wages would be paid into my bank account, and so therefore they'd be transferred and changed into dollars en route. So usually the contract will be negotiated in dollars.
Now, you've worked in many countries around the world doing stunt work and
Yes.
movies, so your passport is obviously up to date. When you travel to these countries, who does the work permits? The production company? How does that work?
It usually is the production company. If I'm working anywhere in Europe, I also have a European passport, so I can work anywhere in Europe anyway. And I have a US green card, so I can work in the US, which makes me, that's quite useful. That's one less bit of work production has to do. But normally, if you're going somewhere like North Africa or where I've worked, it'll be production getting all that together, because they'll be doing it for the whole crew by and large.
Very good. Coming up next, Richard explains the risks involved in his line of work. Stay with us.
When you open a book, you can explore new lands, make new friends, and discover new adventures. There are amazing possibilities when you open your mind to reading. Explore new worlds. Read.
Hi, how are you doing today?
What looks good?
Our special today is shrimp scampi. It's been sitting around for about a week.
Excuse me, what time are you guys leaving? We're gonna rob your house tonight.
Don't you wish there were warnings to protect you from life's risks? With diabetes, there is one. It's called A1C, a simple blood test that helps measure your risk of serious complications. Learn more at diabetesaA1c.org.
What's that? I don't know. Something I kind of made. Ooh, what's it do?
What do I do? Well, thanks for asking. I ring my bell and I like to dance. What do I do? Well, thanks for asking.
Ow! Yeah, it still needs a little work.
Anything's possible. Keep thinking. Get started on your own inventions or just play some games at inventnow.org.
We're back with international stuntman Richard Ryan. Now, Richard, you must stay in top physical condition year-round. Your job can be dangerous at times. What are the risks involved in your line of work?
Well, there is the risk always that you will get hurt in some way, shape or form, either twist your knee. Like any number of sports injuries, there's so much stuff where you might be twisting your knee, twisting your ankle. You may break something as you're falling. By and large, you try and eliminate any risk. You'll pad wherever you can, but you're still going to be hitting the ground or falling downstairs or falling out of a window or whatever it may be. So you will, like any contact sport, there's going to be some kind of injuries, bumps and bruises somewhere along the way.
Do you have a regular training and nutrition regimen?
I like to train fairly regularly. I use a bicycle and I go running. I also go to the gym just to work out. And I also train in martial arts studio. In terms of diet, I try not to eat too much that's bad for you. I mean, every now and again, you know, a bit of chocolate might slip by, but by and large, it's going to be sort of grilled chicken and not too much, fairly plain food.
And how expensive is insurance for stunt performers?
When I'm working, it's covered by the producers. So if I'm hired, it will be through the production company that they will have insurance for any action that's going on.
Your work has been recognized as being the best in the business. What does it feel like getting nominations and wins for what you do?
It's nice to be nominated. It's very nice if other people that you work with, like say in the Taurus Stunt Awards or the SAG Awards, the Stunt Award, if other people recognize your work, particularly if it's your peers, recognize what you've done. So that's always nice. I've not actually won a Taurus Award myself, but fights that I've choreographed have been nominated on 3 occasions, and the work we did on The Dark Knight was nominated and won a SAG Award, SAG Stunt Ensemble, which was nice.
Yeah, that's incredible. That was such a huge movie, and
yeah,
it's part of history, I think, as one of the top, 10 films out there.
Yeah, I mean, it was special, and I'm looking forward to the next one. I'm not actually part of it because I was doing Sherlock Holmes 2 when they started up, so I missed out on that one this time round, but I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Why do you do this?
That's a good question. I enjoy it. I'm trained to do it now, and I would have to retrain to do something else, but I actually enjoy it. I mean, it's great fun when you're working, and the people I work with are by and large good fun as well. So, I mean, I get to be a pirate. I get to dress up and be a pirate. I get to be a 3,000-year-old witch. I get to be Robert Downey Jr. at the end of Sherlock Holmes. I get to be Robert De Niro in Stardust. I get to do all those things and play on that. It's fun.
What sort of advice would you give to those physically fit men and women who want to pursue a career in stunt work?
The first bit would be to train, to make sure you've got a broader base of skills as possible. So that might be studying martial arts, gymnastics, maybe doing some mountain climbing or something, so you have some rigging experience. Driving, you would go to driving schools. There are stunt schools where you can go to learn to drive. If you have all those things, then move somewhere where there is work, which would be Los Angeles, to Louisiana at the moment, to New York or Chicago, and hustle the set. See if you can manage to speak to the stunt coordinator. If you've got any connection at all, any contact, that your brother's ex-girlfriend's brother is a stunt performer, and if they can get you to meet someone so you can get your first break, shamelessly use that. So, and then when you get the job, work hard, keep your mouth shut, do what you're asked to do, and if you don't know something, raise your hand and say, I don't know how to do this. Nobody minds that. It's if you bluff it and you don't know that people are going to get upset. So that would be the main thing. Move to where the work is, continue to train, and work hard.
What do you have coming up next?
There's a period piece I'm working on, which is set in Virginia in 1600s, where I get to be a pirate, which is why I'm currently got the facial furniture, so that hopefully I can stay out of hair and makeup, having something stuck on. I'm also in discussions for a couple of films. One would be a Bourne or Bond type adventure, which I will be looking forward to, and the other one is a Viking saga. So those are the ones coming up in the near future, and then there's a few sort of Spectres, early days hanging about kind of movies, but they're not firmed up yet. So very often there's movies in the background, but whether or not they get green-lit or whether or not you end up doing them is always a tricky one.
Well, we thank you so much for coming. We know you're busy filming these things all over the place, and we appreciate your time for being here.
Oh, my pleasure, George. Thank you.
We're back in a moment to wrap it up.
So, do you have any questions?
What is your soup of the day? Oh, how's that cooked? Is it grilled? Can I have it steamed? So, what do you recommend?
Any questions?
For the 10 questions everyone should know, go to ahrq.gov.
Thanks again to my guest, Richard Ryan, and thank you for watching. Please feel free to contact us with your questions, comments, and show ideas. The email address is belowtheline21@gmail.com, and join our fan page on Facebook. We'll see you next time.
For more information, comments, or questions about the show, email us at belowtheline21@gmail.com.